Hello, hello, and welcome to a new season of Out Loud. I am your host, Anthony Parker. Now, we are so excited to continue the show's mission this season of telling everyone in the community's story. And remember that you can stay up to date with all things Out Loud on our website, OutLoudTalk.com. And if you would like to come on the show and share your story or the work that you're doing for the community, feel free to submit using the Be on the Show tab at the top of our website. Now, last season we talked about queer visibility in movies and TV shows, but today we're going to be talking about queer visibility in the news and media. And joining us for that conversation is the editor of the Riverdale Press, Michael Hinman. Hi, Michael. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Yes, thanks for being here today. The media has really progressed in recent years in regards to the LGBTQ plus community. 10, 20 years ago, LGBTQ plus stories, I'm sure as you know, were not really being told, and it forced a lot of LGBT-centric publications to really arise. But bringing it to today, how would you describe the climate for LGBTQ plus people working in media?
I mean, I think working in media, that it's much different. I think one nice thing about media is that it's always been, because we're exposed to so many things already as journalists, especially, that it allows us, I think, to be more open-minded when it comes to things. I mean, even in the last 27 years that I've been doing this, is that you see kind of that sea change, and a lot of it started on the journalism side, on the reporter side, and it kind of works its way up, through management and everything else, and that's usually where the tricks are in terms of trying to have that more openness, that wider diversity.
Right. Are there any obstacles really that LGBTQ plus reporters can face today still, even?
I mean, I think anywhere.
Working?
I mean, no matter what job that you have, I mean, there's all kinds of things, even in the most progressive type papers that you might, or news outlets that you might have. I mean, there's always challenges, and unfortunately, they might not be as visible as they were before. They might not be as apparent as they were before. But of course, you always have to. I mean, even today, there's always, even for me, I always kind of look and wonder, like, ooh, should I talk about this, or should I even mention this? Should I introduce a date? Should I just how do you kind of separate that without putting a target on yourself? And I mean, luckily for me, I'm with a company that's very very open to diversity, very open minded. But I mean, I've been at other companies where that hasn't been the case.
Yeah. Do you think that there is reason for maybe reporters to maybe feel unsafe or uncomfortable to come out, and maybe they don't want that to affect their work? Or
I mean, for the most part, when journalists in general go out, they're kind of just labeled as journalists, or kind of seen as journalists. People who see them out on the field might not exactly know anything else about them. But when you do work in smaller communities, that is a little bit of a different thing, where you might go out there and people are going to recognize who you are. They're going to know more about you than, say, somebody who's covering the entire city. When you're just covering a small section of the Bronx, I mean, people know that. People will know more about you than they probably would. So, luckily, I'm in a community where that's never ever been an issue. But but I'm sure there are some communities where it might be. Where, I mean, I worked in Florida for 20 years. It's pretty conservative down there, and I mean, I can guarantee you that if I was more open about stuff, that could be a little scarier sometimes.
Yeah. So you're saying region definitely can play a huge role.
It does. I mean, it's just the mentality of it. And what's funny though is even the conservative areas I talk about can be progressive in this regard. It can be, they might be conservative in their values, but not to the point where, because I think a lot of times when people have somebody who's LGBT in their family, for instance, that really changes their perspective. We see that in politics as well. With Dick Cheney, with others who, should be taking this ultra conservative line, but on this particular issue they don't, or at least it's softened a bit. And so I think that that helps a little bit too.
For sure. Talking about the way the media has progressed in regards to the LGBT community, do you think that the media has played a role in helping progress the way the public views the LGBT community?
Well, I think that's the media always plays a role in any of those aspects, whether it's LGBT, whether it's race, whether it's sexism, whether it's all kinds of things, because media's job is to expose everything, is to show society what we are. It's to kind of show what's happening and putting that out there. Because I mean, it's one thing to see what's happening in your own home, to see what's happening among your own circle of friends, but it's a lot different to see kind of the wider look of of that. And I think that journalism and that media in general has always done that, has always played a role in terms of exposing that. And really, and our role isn't supposed to advocate. Our role is never to advocate for anything like that, but our role is to at least show, situations where, this comes into play and how it affects people and how doing certain things affects people. And then you take all of that and you draw your own conclusions. And I think that for the most part that people see, when people are discriminated against in any way, that, that there's usually an outcry of that and hopefully some type of, change in the way that we approach society and we evolve as a society.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have more with Michael.
Sometimes we can do things that exclude others.
You're still talking to your friend?
It's complicated.
I think he went back in. We gotta go get him.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Even the smallest words and actions can have a big effect on someone. You have the skills. Because of you, someone's entire day, their year, or their life can change.
Remember, the future is in your hands.
Visit becauseofyou.org to learn more.
Totally, let's do it.
Hello and welcome back to Out Loud. I am here with the editor of the Riverdale Press, Michael Hinman. Now, Michael, we were just talking about all the progress that's been made with the media in regards to the LGBTQ plus community. But with that progression comes a lot more responsibility, really, to make sure that everyone is respected,
Yes.
So what are some things that journalists really have to be mindful of when navigating a story today?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we sometimes as journalists, and we do this, for a lot of different things, and it's a human thing to do, is that we try to make something special when it's just really about equality, where, just because somebody might be LGBT doesn't mean that there is some kind of, a special unicorn, rainbow thing that pops up, but there are issues that are important that need to be addressed. But really, in the end, that it's all about trying to find equality for that, and then also making sure that we're paying attention to things that need to be paid attention to. There are still, a lot of people think because gay marriage exists and everything else is out there that, there's no more issues in the LGBT community, but there are many. Discrimination is rampant, and then we also forget a lot of times the T in LGBT, and we even do that in the gay community. We forget that, and I think that's really important as well, that there are a lot of issues, in the transgender community that are just being overlooked, that are not being reported, that are not being talked about, and especially where, transgender individuals are being targeted for violence, for all kinds of other things, and I think that's really important that we as media are out there ensuring that we're trying to highlight this, to make it safer for everybody out there. Really.
For sure. I think the more something is talked about, it essentially normalizes it, and at the end of the day, everyone in the LGBTQ plus, we're all humans at the end of the day, and that really is the message of it all. But with that, have you ever found yourself having to maybe kind of step away from maybe like newsroom standards that there are when it comes to maybe an LGBT story that you're covering?
You mean like in terms of like having somebody else cover it, or
that, or kind of just standards that are already in place that?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I understand the question, but the approach that we always have as journalists is that we can't obviously be too close to things, but we are still in our communities. We are still in, if just because I'm a man doesn't mean I can't write about male issues, for instance. So there are things I can write about LGBT, issues, but, there are times where maybe it is a little too personal, where it's like, I'm going to pass this off to somebody else. And, it's very rare that happens, but there could be issues where that happens. There are times that does it, but that shouldn't negate, anybody. I mean, no less than it would negate a black reporter from covering, race issues. So, or women covering, the different issues that are out there. So, gender equality and everything. And so, that's one of those things you really always have to take on a case-by-case basis. But, but the general idea is that when we're in reporter mode, no matter what opinions we have, no matter who we are, no matter what we feel, when we're in our reporter mode, we're stepping back from everything. We're stepping outside of even who we are, and we're looking at everything from the outside.
Yeah.
And so that's checking everything at the door, including, our identity, including who we are, and reporting, from that position. So.
Okay. Now, I know the AP style book is kind of like the Bible for, all journalists. Has that been updated in any way to include language regarding, respecting people's pronouns, things like that?
Yeah, AP has been, the AP style book over the last, 25 years that I've known it very well has been very slow to update. I mean, since they've gone electronic, it's been a lot faster. They are, sometimes they're very slow to pick up things. We were capitalizing internet until about a few years ago. But then, in other parts that they seem to be doing pretty well. In terms of pronouns, I don't exactly agree with the current AP standard. The AP standard right now is that if somebody requests specific pronouns for they, them, for instance, or for, if somebody wants to identify as a she or her instead of he and him, that
Or
that it's
they.
They.
That's another
So it
large
says, so they
conversation.
is the biggest one where they suggest that, especially for they, because of the fact that you're using you're using it in a singular sense.
Yes.
And so their suggestion is that you try to avoid it, to try to write around it, just because
Interesting.
it's confusing for
Yeah.
readers. What we chose in our paper, because we actually had a situation recently where we had somebody who identified with they, them pronouns, and what we did is just state in there that they choose to be referred to with they, them pronouns, and that's what we're using. And we are going to use it in a singular sense. So we're not bound to AP style, but we,
Yeah.
but it is kind of, you're right, it's more or less the Bible of,
Yeah.
of kind of how everybody does it and their approach. So, I mean, I think that their concern more is confusion. And we had some readers who were confused by the usage of it. And that's one of those things we just kind of have to look at. But I think the more that you start to see it,
Exactly.
the more that people
they'll know.
will.
And interesting enough, when I was kind of doing my homework putting together this segment, I came across an LGBT media kit that GLAAD has created that really is like the do's and don'ts, really, when navigating an LGBT specific story. So I thought that was really interesting that they have that out there for people.
It'd be nice. They should probably register, because I didn't even know they had that.
Yeah,
So that'd be actually
I know,
really
I just
interesting.
stumbled upon it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that'd be really interesting if GLAAD would put that out there
Yeah.
and really, because I mean, even if you are a member of the community, I mean, there's things that I'm sure that
For sure.
that I'm saying right now that somebody watches is like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
How dare that dinosaur say that kind of thing? And
Yeah.
but that's just. But that's the whole aspect. I mean, it's such a broad tent
Exactly.
that it's kind of hard to really. I mean, even on transgender issues. I mean, I'm very new to that. I'm probably 4 or 5 years new into that. Where 4 or 5 years before that, I wasn't paying attention to it at all.
Yeah. The more we put it out there, the more people will continue to evolve around it.
Yeah.
But thank you for being here
Of course,
today.
anytime,
Yes,
Anthony.
thank you. It was a great conversation, and I'm sure informative for a lot of people.
I hope so.
So yeah, thank you. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have our next guest who is going to be performing for us.
You're looking at me in the future. Okay. Hi, Isaac.
Wait a second.
Do you know who I am?
Julia.
This is Jaina. Into the future.
I just wanted to talk to you about what happened with those 2 girls.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember it was this girl that I was getting bullied by
That one day at PE when they were yelling at me, and then you just linked arms with me. I don't think you know how much that helped me, because I finally knew that I had somebody.
Because of you, Isaac, and what you did for me years ago, I grew up to be more independent and love myself and just be a little bit more confident.
Aw, I'm a little tearing up right now. Just to see her in the future just blossom and look beautiful, and that was really amazing.
Hello, and welcome back to Out Loud. I'm your host, Anthony Parker. Now, our next guest that is joining us is a recording artist and has a truly inspiring life story. Please join me in welcoming Robert Garcia.
Hey.
Hi, Robert.
What's
Welcome.
up? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Now you have your music on all streaming platforms. You are performing at different venues, but it was a bit of a journey for you to get to where you are today, and it's truly inspiring. So tell us a little bit about your life story.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I'm the world's favorite boy girl. Being a boy girl in its own has its own obstacles and stigmas and things like that. But you know, growing up, I've been on my own since 13. Parents kind of like let me flee the nest around that age, and I stood with family members, and I remember just jumping from couch to couch for a long, long time.
Wow.
But in the midst of all of that, I was able to find myself, find the things that I like to do, because sometimes your parents could kind of like, no, don't do this. This is for girls. This is for boys. And for me, I kind of made those decisions myself, and I was able to, you know, turn into this beautiful boy girl that you see.
Yeah.
Growing up, I had to deal with, you know, homelessness. You know, I was in the shelter system for a lot of the time. And actually, last year, Glam Awards, I was kicked out of a shelter. And I remember my homegirl, Angie, she was just like, you can stay on my couch. I was on her couch for a month, and then I got my first ever apartment. It is
my God.
fabulous. It's big. I got a cat, butterfly rocket. So all of that comes out of all of the struggle that I've had. And anyone in our community knows someone or is homeless.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of the shows that I do now are about, you know, paying back to communities, but at the same time, paying back into my pocket as an artist.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of money for these events that I do, and there's ways that our community can support each other, and that's what we've been doing in the nightlife, for musicians at least.
Yeah, that's great. Now, you refer to yourself as a boy girl. Tell us what that means.
Well, a boy girl literally can be for a born male or born female person. Like, the reality is the boy girl ideal is not following what society expects for gender.
Yeah.
You know, you can see me real guyish with a beard and some baggy shorts or whatever works there, but I like to cinch it up and feminize it sometimes too. And interesting enough, my whole life, with or without makeup, I've gotten misgendered until I decided to be a boy girl, where if you called me he and or she, I wasn't misgendered. You're actually calling me by what I feel and what I am. So once I changed my way of thinking about how society views who I am as a person, I was able to understand how to communicate with them.
Yeah.
I call them the regulars. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, and it's true. Society tries to put everyone in a box.
Yeah.
And then everything really isn't as black and white as you're taught growing up.
And there's a lot of us in my family. You know, I'm one of 5 boys. So trust me when I tell you, my dad was not as excited, but he was very, very intrigued into what it is that I was doing. And after 13, he knew that he couldn't tell me what to do. So it almost allowed him to be forced into understanding that your son is different. Your son sometimes wants to be your daughter. And at the same time, your son has your name, Robert Garcia. So look at that.
That's amazing.
He loved it. He's proud.
That's great. Now, talking about your music, what inspires your music?
My music literally is about my life. Once upon a time, I was married, and I was married to a person who was very violent, emotionally, physically. That was probably one of the hardest times of my life, not only falling in love, falling out of love, but being abused. Robert doesn't take it from anyone, so the fact that I allowed someone that I was so deeply in love with to abuse me the way this man did, it did something to who I am as a person today, in good and also in bad, because I'm human, you know. You know, I go on a date and he uses a cuss word or something, I'm like, oh, you better check yourself. Oh, not me. You know, I'm already feeling like there's this whole macho thing. But for the most part, my music is really about everything that I've experienced, the homelessness, the divorce, you know, not having parents, to forgiving my parents, you know, learning about myself. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm naughty boy girl too. I was never always on the good boy list. But, you know, I'm working it, and I feel like aside from everything that I'm doing, who I am as a person has spoke volumes in my community, has spoke volumes in a lot of the campaigns that I've done. Like, I did a major campaign for Sephora, their We Belong campaign that did about 4 million views, and that was based off of being a boy girl. That was based off me being Robert Garcia, and that was important to me, because that there made everything like this a moment that is worth just being yourself, being true, and accepting that I'm me, and there's a million other kids, adults, you know,
Yeah.
seniors that want to live this life. They want it so bad that they do things like suicide. They want it so bad that they do things like forget who they are and never live this dream of
Yeah.
singing and dancing.
Yeah.
And
you are
I could
living
keep
it.
going. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm
you
so
are living
grateful.
it. But I want to ask you, you bring that up. What advice would you give to people out there who maybe are afraid to live their true identity, or maybe don't understand it, or are afraid to explore it? What advice do you have for them?
My advice, if you don't understand it, ask questions. And this is 2020. You can look it up, Google it, ask questions, research, because those are the things that are going to open your mind to who you may be or might want to be. I know people who experience things once. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, they're happy with the fact that they tried it.
Yeah.
And that's it. For me is be yourself, be authentic, be kind. That's a big one. Be
Yes.
very kind. You will be surprised on how many people may not agree with the lifestyle that I chose, but because of my kindness and my firm respect for everyone, no matter what role you play in the world, no matter what color your skin is, no matter what straight, gay, bi, I give everyone that same respect that I expect.
I agree.
And I think as a community, because we are in a sensitive time where everyone's being attacked, as a community, we just have to take that sensitivity, turn it into kindness, and pray that nobody try you. But until then, always go face forward and wake up in the morning and always do things for yourself. Like, it's important. A lot of the times we're so busy on helping everyone else. I'm sure you woke up thinking about, how am I going to get Robert comfortable tonight? Did you eat breakfast today? I hope you did. Yeah, do things
Take
for
care
yourself.
of yourself.
Always.
And I think it's important to lead with kindness.
Yes.
Like you said, always lead with kindness.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right.
When you have to.
Yep. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, Robert is going to be performing an original song for us called Goodbye Love.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. Better than I was scared of. It's very sad all that I could do was remember you. You know I usually say no, but if you throw me love, I'll throw you some more.
Hello and welcome back to Out Loud, now performing an original song, Robert Garcia.
You broke my heart not once but twice. Now I'm all in my feelings, trying to find out the reasons as to why you mistreated me. You wanna see me down when the world shut you out. I was the only one down. Goodbye, goodbye, love. Yeah, 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 yeah. Goodbye, love. Yeah. Goodbye, love. Goodbye, love. I never wanna see you again. I tried, love. I tried, love. Today's the day I say. It started like a fairy tale, ended in disaster. Tornado made me wanna run faster. Asking myself, how could I allow all this sadness? Before you, I was good. I avoided all help. could I be so stupid? Ruining what we had. I blamed it all on Cupid, and now I'm just sitting sad. You made me promises like you love me forever, never let me go. Look at me, I have to go. Goodbye, goodbye, love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I won't settle for pretend. Goodbye, goodbye. Oh, I tried love, I tried love. Today's the day I say, boy, I should know better. I've been through all this before. I'm tired of giving chances. Your chance walked out the door. Now I see things clearly. Love can make you blind. Even after bruises, like a fool, I keep on trying. I can't explain how ashamed I am of my actions. I chose you, forgot about all of my passions, but I'm strong. I'm back where I belong. Boy, goodbye, I'm done. I never want to see you again. I gave you chances to make us happy. 100 chances, you ruined it time again. Boy, I have to go. It's hard for me to say goodbye. Boy, goodbye. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I never want to see you again. I tried love, I tried love. I won't settle for pretend. Oh, boy, goodbye. I tried. Today's the day I say goodbye.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
Oh my God, Robert, that was amazing.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank
Where,
you.
yes, where can everyone find you on social media?
Well, y'all can find me everywhere. Your favorite boy girl is literally everywhere. First of all, I'm in all music platforms, Spotify, iTunes, TikTok for the children, all of that goodness. Beauty_androgyny is my Instagram. Robert Garcia is my name. You can find me, and I make it pretty easy because I post every day.
Great, well, thank you so much for being here
Thank
again.
you for having me.
Seriously,
Oh my God,
yes.
this was amazing.
Yes, and
Thank
you can find us on social media, on Facebook at OutLoudLGBT, on Instagram at OutLoud.tv, and on Twitter at OutLoudLGBTTV. And remember that being your true self is your greatest gift to the world. We'll see you next time here at Out Loud.
That's right.